the sum of restoring components is always equal to the stretching force. Pressure is not depending on size, it is depending on height. Wavelength depends upon a factor called temperature. So it depends upon the temperature of the surface. Hello students, this is Samson Deepak, Faculty of Physics, Temple of Excellence, Vidyashram, Pre-University, Mysore. In this session, I will be discussing the Karnataka CET paper 2005, where most of us believe that physics is numerical based, lots of equations, lots of expressions. Analysis of this paper will clearly show physics is also conceptually based. So this is one paper where we have more concepts to be analyzed rather than expressions, simplifications, or numericals. So we start analyzing the paper. The first question. The first question says, when a body falls in air, when a body falls in air, the resistance of air, the opposition, resistance offered by air resistance ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, depends to a great extent on the shape of the body. So very clearly, the problem says air resistance depends upon the shape of the body, configuration of the body. Three different shapes are given. One is a disc. The second one is a ball. And the third one is cigar shaped. Identify the combination of air resistances which will truly represent the physical situation. Andre, the problem says, given for these three different shapes, which combination may have maximum air resistance or minimum air resistance or moderate air resistance? ನೀವು ಗಮನಿಸಿದ್ರೆ, the first object is a disc. The second object is a ball. Third object is cigar shaped. Third object in a shape na gamansi, cigar shaped. So here it is streamlined. So the shape is streamlined. It is in the shape of a cigar. So here air resistance has to be minimum. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಗಾರ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ ಶೇಪ್. And very clearly the question says that air resistance depends upon the shape. Second one is a ball, uniform shape, which means here it is moderate. Air resistance with respect to a ball is moderate because of its uniform shape, neither too high nor too less. But if you come to the circular disc, surface area is maximum here. In case of a circular disc, surface area is maximum, which means it should have maximum air resistance. So the correct combination should be air resistance in the case of cigar less than in the case of the ball, less than in the case of the disc. So the third option is the correct one. 3 less than 2 less than 1. Next one, quite interesting. The adjacent figure is the part of horizontally stretched net. Gamansi padana net. The given figure is a part of a stretched net anta heltare. Now he says AB is stretched with a force of 10 Newton. This AB is stretched with a force of 10 Newton. Tension in the section BC and BF has to be calculated. So this is where is BF, this is where is BC. So this is BF and this is BC. My dear students, quite new concept here. This BC and BF are called the arms of the net. BC and BF, I repeat, are called the arms of the net. I am asked to calculate the tension in BC, what I call as T1, tension in BF, what I call as T2, when AB is stretched by a downward force, what is called as 10 Newton. Gamansi illi, this angle is given to be 120 degrees and the interior angle is 90, which means 90 plus 30 gives me 120 degrees. Again, this is 120 degrees. Again, this is 90. plus 30 is 120 degrees. Always remember, when it comes to the arms of a net, I repeat, when it comes to the arms of a net, the sum of restoring component is always equal to the stretching force. Slightly absurd. The sum of restoring component is always equal to the stretching force. Which is the restoring component? Restoring force sin theta. Andre along BC, T1 sin 30. This is the restoring component in the arm BC. It brings the particle to its initial position, plus T2 sin 30, restoring component in the arm BF. This should be equal to 10, which is the stretching force. Now I say let T1 be equal to T2 be equal to T. So this becomes 2T sin 30 is half, which is 10. So T is 10 Newton, which means both T1 and T2 turns out to be 10 Newton. So always remember, in the given arms of a net, the sum of restoring components is always equal to the stretching force. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚಿಂಗ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದ ರೀಸ್ಟೋರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚಿಂಗ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ tension is equal to the stretching force. Next one. Which of the four dimensional quantities which will qualify as dimensional constant? Andre, which among the four options, four given quantities, one of them is called dimensional constant? Which is that? ನೀವು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, when we teach you the limitations of dimensions, we told the dimensions for constants, the so-called scalars, numbers, cannot be written. But no students, there is something called as dimensional constants also. Quantities which are constants but will have dimensions also. For example, your Planck's constant. How do I write Planck's constant? E is h nu. Energy of a photon. E is h nu, where h is Planck's constant, or h is E divided by nu. So Planck's constant will have the dimensions of energy divided by frequency. but it is a constant. 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 joule second. Similarly, if you observe here, velocity of light in vacuum, it is a constant. What is its magnitude? 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. But will it not have the dimensions of velocity? So it is a constant. Still, it has the dimensions of velocity. So it is a dimensional constant. So ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, it is not that all constants are dimensionless. Certainly, there are few constants will have dimensions like Planck's constant, velocity of light in vacuum, etc. The relationship between force F and position X of a body is shown in the figure. Calculate the work done in displacing the body from x equals 1 meter to x equals 5 meters. So this is a graph which shows the relationship between force and displacement. I have to calculate the work done in displacing the body from x equals 1 meter to x equals 5 meter. Given force displacement graph, how will I calculate work? Simple, sir. Area under force displacement graph will give me the work done. So calculate the area here. You get the work done to displace the body from 1 meter to 5 meter. So I'll calculate the area now. I call this A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So if you substitute and calculate the area, 15 joule will be the answer. So here, area under the curve will give me the work done, which should be 15 joules. Next one. Again, a concept-based question. From the top of a tower, 2 stones are dropped. ಒಂದು ಟವರ್ ಎತ್ತರದಿಂದ 2 ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Whose mass is in the ratio 1:2. ಆ 2 ಸ್ಟೋನ್ಗಳದ ಮಾಸ್ ಯಾವ ರೇಷಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿದೆ? 1:2, where 1 stone is thrown straight up with an initial speed u. One of the stone is thrown straight up ಮೇಲೆ ಎಸಿತಿದ್ದೀವಿ with an initial velocity u, and the second stone is thrown straight down with the same speed u. ಎರಡನೇ ಕಲ್ಲನ್ನ straight down ಎಸಿತಿದ್ದೀವಿ with the same speed, what they call as u. Now, if you neglect air resistance, which will hold good to describe this situation? ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗಿದೆ, the stones have masses which is in the ratio 1:2. ಮೊದಲನೇ ಕಲ್ಲನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆಸಿತೀವಿ, ಟವರ್ ಇಂದ ನಿಂತು ಮೇಲೆಸಿತೀವಿ with the initial speed u. ಎರಡನೇ ಕಲ್ಲನ್ನ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಎಸಿತೀವಿ with the same speed u. Then I say both the stones will have the same speed when they hit the ground. This is because motion in both the case is independent of mass. In both the cases, whatever ratio is given to mass, it will not affect the situation. Here the free fall depends upon velocity. They have the same speed, independent of mass. So the stones will have the same speed when they hit the ground. Next one. If capital M is the mass of the earth, he says capital M is the mass of the earth, capital R is the radius of the earth, then the ratio of gravitational acceleration, small g, and gravitational constant, capital G, has to be calculated. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. This is a problem from the chapter gravitation. The problem says capital M is the mass of the earth, mass. Capital R is the radius of the earth. ಹಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ I have to calculate a ratio. Ratio of what? Gravitational acceleration. ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಜಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀನಿ. ಗ್ರಾವಿಟೇಷನಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಜಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀನಿ. To figure out first, do I know any relation which connects small g and capital G? Gravitation chapter. Yes, students, small g is always gm by r square. You should always know this relation. Acceleration due to gravity is capital G, gravitational constant, m, mass of the earth divided by r square. So very simple now. See, small g by capital G ratio beko. This is nothing but m divided by r square. What technology I have to use here? Some expression, very simple, m divided by r square should be the answer. Again, an interesting problem. Assertion, I say, very interesting. A student unable to answer a question on Newton's laws of motion. ಒಂದು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ನಡೀತಿದೆ, ನ್ಯೂಟನ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಇಂದ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. attempts to pull himself, ಆ ಒಂದು ಗಲಿಬಿಲಿಲಿ, ಫ್ರಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, he could not answer the question. So the student is attempting to pull himself up by tagging on his hair. ಕೂದಲನ್ನು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಫ್ರಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಕೋಪದಲ್ಲಿ ತನ್ನನ್ನ ಎಳೆಯೋದಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಿಸುತ್ತಾನೆ. He will not succeed. What is the reason which will favor his failure? ನ್ಯೂಟನ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. He's failed to answer. He's frustrated. So he's pulling himself by tagging on to his hair. ಗಮನಿಸಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ he's applying an internal force on the system by trying to pull his hair and try to move himself. He is applying an internal force. But what did Newton's law say? When will a body move? Only when an external force is applied. So since the force applied is internal to the system, he is not succeeding to move. So he will not succeed, or he fails to move because the force applied is internal. Only when an external force is applied, the body moves. Consequence of the first law of motion. 8th one. Again from the adjacent figure, the correct option is, where all 4 options describe the pressure exerted by the liquid in vessel A and vessel B at the bottom, and the liquid given is water. The vessel A has a larger size. ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ, vessel B has a smaller size. ಆದ್ರೆ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವ ಅಂಶ, the significance here is, in both the vessels water is filled to the same height. A size ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿದೆ, B size ಚಿಕ್ಕದಾಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಎರಡೂ ಪಾತ್ರೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ನೀರನ್ನ ಸಮನಾದ ಹೈಟ್ ತುಂಬಿದ್ದಾರೆ. How will I relate the term pressure here? Simple, sir. Expression for pressure exerted by a fluid. What is that? P is rho G H. Derive ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ, fluid dynamics ಓದಿದೀರಾ. The pressure exerted by a fluid at a certain depth, P is rho G H. Rho ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Density. G, acceleration due to gravity. H height. ಎರಡೂ ಪಾತ್ರೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ವಾಟರ್ ಇದೆ, ಡೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಸೇಮ್, ಹೈಟ್ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಸೈಜ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ವಿಚ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ on the bottom of A and B will be the same because pressure is independent of size. Pressure is not depending on size, it is depending on height. The height of water in both the vessels is the same, so they exert same pressure at the bottom. Nodi, only assertions, just one knowledge of expression will help you to get the answer. Which one of the following is not a unit of Young's modulus? ನಾಲ್ಕು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಯುಲಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಯಾವುದಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಯುಲಸ್ is defined as force acting on certain area of stretching. Stress by strain ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. What is the unit of force? Newton. Area meter square. So Newton meter minus 2 sikto. So this is the unit of Young's modulus. ಆದರೆ ಯಾವುದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. Force by area is also pressure ಅಲ್ವಾ? Force per unit area na pressure ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರೆದ್ವಿ, which will again have a unit Pascal. So again megapascal can be treated as the unit. In CGS system, force is nothing but dian. Again area centimeter minus 2. This is also Young's modulus. So very easy now. Which one is not Young's modulus? It is Newton meter minus 1. So Newton meter minus 1 is not the unit of Young's modulus. Again interesting. A piece of blue glass. ಒಂದು ಬ್ಲೂ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, is heated to a high temperature. Blue glass is heated to a high temperature, maximum temperature, and a piece of red glass is heated at room temperature. ಒಂದು ಬ್ಲೂ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ನ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ರೆಡ್ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ನ ರೂಮ್ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾವುದು ಬ್ರೈಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಯಾವ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು? ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ, ಬ್ರೈಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರಿಬಹುದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ರೇಡಿಯೇಟೆಡ್. ಸೊ ನೌ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಲೇಟ್ energy with temperature. Who will help me? Mr. Stephen. Yes, we know Stephen's law of heat radiations, which told energy is proportional to fourth power of temperature. Energy radiated is proportional to fourth power of temperature. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ರೇಡಿಯೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬ್ರೈಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, which in this case is heated to a high temperature. Very clearly blue glass. So blue shines brighter when compared to the red piece, because blue is heated at high temperature. Energy radiated is maximum. Red is heated at room temperature. Energy radiated is minimum. The wavelength of radiation emitted by a body depends upon what are the factors from the given option which will decide the wavelength of radiation. Again, see, many questions from heat and radiations. Now, I will use Wien's displacement law, which says wavelength at which, or lambda into T, maximum wavelength at a particular temperature is always constant, or lambda is inversely related to temperature. As temperature increases, wavelength of the radiation decreases. As temperature decreases, wavelength will increase. So wavelength depends upon a factor called temperature. So it depends upon the temperature of the surface. Again, ideal monoatomic gas is taken through this cycle, which is shown by the PV diagram. Work done during the cycle. Again, very much work done is the area of the curve. Again, as we saw in the previous question, here the work done by the gas is nothing but the area of the curve. Very simple questions. It is a rectangle, so it is AB into AD, which will be 2P minus P, which is V. Here it is 2V minus V, PV. So the answer is PV. 13th, which mirror is used to obtain parallel beam of light? The mirror used to obtain parallel beam of light from a small lamp. So it is the concave mirror. When it is placed, the lamp is placed on the focus of a concave mirror. Parallel beam of light emerges, but it has to be placed on the focus. So when it is placed on the focus of a concave mirror, we get parallel beam of light. Which of the following is a wrong statement? Here all assertions are related to the power of a spherical surface, concepts related to the power of a spherical surface, let us analyze. D equals 1 by F, where F is the focal length and D is the refractive power. True. We know power of a spherical surface is 1 divided by focal length. So D is the unit of power, diopter. It is correct. It is 1 by F, 1 divided by focal length. Power is called diopter when F is in meters. True. The power is 1 diopter if the focal length is 1 meter. So no doubt about that. Power is positive for convergent lens, negative for divergent lens. True. Power is called diopter, accepted, and does not depend on the system of unit used to measure F. This is a wrong statement. It depends upon the system of unit representing focal length. I told diopter, power is 1 diopter when the focal length is 1 meter. Identify the wrong description. The wrong description is the first one. Here, this is a diagram which indicates short-sightedness, or which is also called myopia. If you see, the image is getting formed beyond the retina. So it is short-sightedness, myopia, and it is not far-sightedness. Infrared radiations were discovered in 1800 by William Herschel. A particle on the trough of a wave at any instant comes to the mean position after a time t. For what time? What is asked is, this is the crest, this is the trough. A particle on the trough comes to the mean position after what interval of time? ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ರಫ್ ಮೇಲಿರೋ ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಮೀನ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Here, amplitude is attained at t/4. Comes to the mean position at t/2. This is particle on crest. For particle on a trough, amplitude 3t/4, which means it is coming to the mean position after a difference of 3t/4. This we have already worked out. 360 hertz is the answer. Now, the ratio of velocity of sound in hydrogen and oxygen at STP, ratio of velocity of sound in hydrogen and oxygen. You know, velocity of sound in a gas is root gamma RT by M. Gamma is constant. ratio of specific heats. R is constant, universal gas constant. Capital T is standard temperature condition. So velocity is inversely related to molecular mass. So velocity of sound in hydrogen to velocity of sound in oxygen. This is molecular mass of oxygen, hydrogen, which is root 16 by 1. So it has to be 4:1. See, such simple questions. We don't need any particle physics to arrive at the answer. In an experiment with sonometer, remember, frequency is inversely proportional to the vibrating length. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು stretched string ಅಲ್ಲಿ frequency is inversely proportional to the length. ನೀವು ಓದಿರ್ತೀರಾ law of length, law of mass, law of tension. So frequency of vibrations of a stretched string is inversely proportional to length, which means F1 by F2 equals L2 by L1. F1 divided by F2 is L2 by L1. F1 is given to be 256 hertz. So 256 divided by F2 has to be calculated. L2 is given to be 16 divided by 25. So on simplification, 400 hertz will be the answer.